Hello, my name is Cole Calkins, and I work for T.I.P. Rural Electric Cooperative out of Brooklyn, Iowa. And I'm here today to teach you about electrical hazards as well as electrical safety. We'll start here with this scene in a home setting. You can see there's several electrical hazards throughout this scene, one being a hairdryer next to the bathtub and on the sink. Any electrical wires or electrical equipment around water usually results in some form of electrical hazard. So you can see this child is reaching up for a radio and it might drop into the sink or into the bath, resulting in electrical shock. In this next scene, there's a couple electrical hazards that you can easily see. The first one being an electric heater that's put right underneath the clothes hanger. All these clothes could potentially go up in flames if it got hot enough. The second hazard is underneath the sink here. As you can see, there's several cords running into two outlets, whether they be electrical cords for extension cords or an appliance. That's a hazard that could be mitigated by separating those cords to different circuits within the kitchen. I'll now show you what could possibly happen if all those cords were running appliances at the same time. As you can see, that could start a fire. Now the next scene here, it's down in a basement setting. This gentleman is working on his workbench. He's got an electrical panel that's missing the cover. He's got an electrical junction box within the joists without a cover on it, and he's got a bad cord that's got a fray in it. This gentleman's going to use his drill, and he goes to reach for the cord to get more room so he can work. Now I'll show you what can happen if you have a cord that's frayed and you grab it with your hand. An electrical shock. Now if there is an electrical cord that has a fray in it, make sure you tell an adult, or just remove the cord and put it out with your garbage. Now the next scene, this woman is trying to get a piece of toast out of her toaster, and the worst way to get it out is with a fork or a knife, and that's exactly what she's doing. So as she reaches into the toaster, she sticks her fork down in there, and that is an electrical hazard that could result in electrical shock. Always unplug your appliance, especially a toaster if you have a piece of toast stuck in the toaster. This girl up here with her soccer ball, she kicked it in to an electric substation. Now the substation has a fence and barbed wire all around it, and inside of there are energized electrical parts. If you ever do kick a ball or anything into an electric substation, you need to tell an adult and have the adult call the power company. Do not attempt to climb the fence and retrieve any object within inside that substation, or there's a potential hazard could result in electrical shock. As you can see here, the girl's attempting to climb up the power transformer and get shocked. So remember to stay out of any enclosed substation that has a fence or barbed wire around it. The best place to fly a kite is in an open area without any power lines around. If you do have power lines around, make sure you pay close attention to how high you're flying that kite, because the kite could get wrapped up in the power line, and if the line is dirty and wet, there could be a potential there to receive an electrical shock. Now the next scene is a small child here trying to open up a pad mount transformer. This transformer does the same thing as those transformers hanging up on the poles, but they're just placed on the ground. Never try to open this enclosure, or it could result in electrical shock, as you can see here. The next scene shows an accident with a car and a utility pole, and the power lines draped over the car. Never attempt to approach a car with any power lines down. There could be a potential for electrical shock. As you can see, the gentleman starting to approach the car, and he receives an electrical shock. Moving down to the bottom, we have a clubhouse. And then you can see in the clubhouse there's a couple kids, and right over the top of the clubhouse is a power line. And another gentleman next to the house is attempting to clear trees from the clubhouse. He gets his power saw a little too high, which results in electrical shock. Got to play it safe around those overhead power lines. The next scene shows a gentleman cleaning his pool out with a large rod that connects to a sweep. Now the overhead is pretty much over the top of the pool, and he gets it too high and makes contact with the overhead power line, which could result in a shock. The next scene shows a woman who's trimming her hedges with a hedge trimmer that's electric. What she doesn't see is that the cord has a fray in it, and her foot touches the fray in the cord, and that results in electrical shock. If any cord has any gouges or cuts, it's best to just throw them away. You can't repair a cord well enough to make it safe enough to use. The last scene is a woman who's using a ladder to save her cat, who's sitting up on an overhead transformer. Sometimes cats and animals like to climb up on power poles and sit up on top of transformers. But it's never a good decision to put a ladder up on any pole that's energized. As you can see, this woman's leaned her ladder up against the pole and the overhead power line, which then results in electrical shock. Always be aware of any overhead power line as well as underground power lines, as we've shown in here. Now I've just shown you several electrical hazards, and remember to do your part and be safe around electricity.